In Print Radio. In Print is a professional writers organization located in Rockford, Illinois. We're dedicated to providing resources and education off the page and on the air. Hello, I'm Bob Francis. Today, In Print member Louise Brass sits down with author and speaker Jerilyn Willin.
I'm sitting with Jerilyn Willin, an international performance consultant, career strategies coach, speaker, writer, and the author of Unless a Love Be Free. So welcome, Jerilyn.
Thank you.
Unless a Love Be Free is set on an exotic island in the Atlantic Ocean in 1790, and it's a time when pirates were attempting to rule the waves and women had countless struggles to obtain rights that we sometimes take for granted these days. But this story, as you say, is definitely not your usual set in England man of noble birth meets spunky rags to riches heroine story.
That's very true.
So what inspired you to write Unless a Love Be Free?
Well, I think that the story had been in me for a long time, and actually, truth be told, it sprang from a story that I wrote when I was in high school, trying to get into the school literary magazine. And if you've read the book, you know that it's not really literary magazine fodder, so it never did get in, but I never threw the 10-page story away. And then later, many years later, when I decided that I wanted to try my hand at writing, I broke the story out and expanded it to 400 pages.
That's great. And your descriptions paint a very vivid picture of the characters, the locales, and the events in the book. The scenes you place your characters in seem so realistic. Did you visit the locations similar to the ones you've written about, or is this totally the fruit of a writer's fertile imagination?
It's a combo. What was amazing to me was that I went to Australia for work. And while I was in Australia, and I wish I could remember the name of the restaurant that I was in, but I was in some restaurant, and they had, on the menu, they had a story of how the restaurant got its name. And in that story, there were so many similarities to my story. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that even happen? And so I don't know how that coincidence happened. So yes, I did visit in a way. I did visit part of where the story takes place. It doesn't take place in Australia, but the island that it takes place on is modeled after the Australian penal colonies, because it begins on a penal colony island.
And it was so realistic reading that, especially, all the slaves that were there, the prisoners. You had looked into the face of prisoners and really kind of captured that distress that they're feeling.
I tried to put myself in their place, yes, and I had done research, so yes.
Do characters that you meet in real life find their way into your fiction then, with names changed to protect the guilty and the innocent, of course?
Yes, pieces of conversation that I've heard. I'm a big eavesdropper when I'm in restaurants, and when I hear a turn of phrase that sounds really cool, I jot it down, because you never know where you can use it. And just last night, in fact, I was going through some old papers, and I came across some things that I had written down from conversations that I heard, and I'm like, oh, I could use this. So yes, I guess my ear is always attuned to a good turn of phrase.
Well, did you labor over giving your characters their names? Did you research the names that were commonly used in the era you chose as a setting for Unless a Love Be Free, which is a couple of hundred years ago?
No, I did not. The names just came to me. And actually, my work in progress, my fiction work in progress, I'm having a terrible time with the names. So I don't know what was special about this particular book, about Unless a Love Be Free, but the names just came to me.
What era is your newest book going to be about?
Same era. Same time period, except that this time it is set in England, but the characters, again, are older. I think that once you hit a certain age, it's harder to relate to an 18-year-old girl from that period. So both in Unless a Love Be Free and in my work in progress, the heroines are in their late 20s, if not a little bit older. I never say exactly how old, but that's what it's supposed to be.
In the front of your debut novel, there's a dramatic picture of a cliff off with the ocean and waves pounding the edge of the cliff. And how did you come up with this idea, and there must be a meaning behind it, I'm sure. And who was the designer of your book?
The designer of the picture, I purchased the picture off the internet, so I don't know who that was because I bought it from a service. But yes, the cliff, it took me forever to find a picture of a cliff that I liked. But the cliff it's a very turning point in the story. And so, yes, it is significant to the story.
That front picture, the front gives an air of mystery. You wonder, what is that cliff going to be about?
Yes, that cliff changes the lives of every single character in the book.
And you're an independent publisher, so why did you go this route to publish your book? And is this a print-on-demand book?
It is through CreateSpace, Amazon's CreateSpace, so I guess it's print-on-demand. And why I decided to go that way is I had an agent in New York, and she shopped it around, and because it's different, because it was not in England, because the characters were a little bit older, she couldn't find a home for it. And the rejection letters that I got, writers' magazines often talk about, taking your rejection letters and laying them all out to see what the common threads are. And the common thread in my rejection letters wasn't a common romance novel. And so they felt like perhaps it would be hard to place. But I really loved the story. And the story wouldn't let me go. And so I started looking at small publishers or independent publishing. And putting it on Amazon through CreateSpace was so easy and so much less expensive than if I had gone through a publisher like Ex Libris or some of the others that cost thousands of dollars. I would say that probably from the person who formatted it and uploaded it, buying the cover picture and putting it on CreateSpace, I want to say that it was definitely less than $1,000.
And you're a two-time Romance Writer of America Golden Heart finalist in the long historical category and a winner of numerous writing awards too. So what were the challenges researching literary, psychological, and logistical challenges to bring this novel about?
Well, I think sticking to it was part of the challenge. I had a first draft, and of course I knew nothing. And I had this first draft, and there was a contest, a writing contest. I'm sorry that I keep saying I can't remember the name, but I sent my manuscript in, and of course it came back immediately. But what came back with it was, have you thought about joining Romance Writers of America? And so I joined them, and that is when I learned all the mistakes I had made in that first draft that I had sent off. It's still an embarrassment to me to think that I had sent it into a contest. So I joined Romance Writers of America, and I learned so much, and I gained so many close friendships with other writers. If anyone out there listening is writing something in the women's fiction or romance genre, check into Romance Writers of America. See if there is a chapter near you. I know there's 2 chapters in Chicago, or Chicago suburbs, but I learned so much, and that was a big impetus to me to go back and rewrite and make some changes and make it a book that would be enjoyable for someone to read.
So what is your favorite method of marketing your book?
I like the fact that it gets marketed when I'm sleeping because it's on Amazon and that it's on my website. But I think that one of the things that still gives me great joy, because it's been on the market now for a couple of years, is selling it to somebody face to face and being able to sign a copy to them or to whoever they're buying it for. And people can buy it directly from me, and then even if they contact me through my website, they can get an autographed copy from me. And they actually don't pay any postage because I'm so excited to sell it directly to them that I pay the postage. And plus, if they buy it from me, I make more money on it too because Amazon doesn't take their cut.
Well, your first nonfiction work, co-authored with Wendy M. Warden, titled Deep, Deep, Deeper Still, A Guided Journey for People Who Journal and Those Who Wish They Did. How did that book come about?
That came about in that Wendy and I were friends, but not super close friends. We were, I guess, more acquaintances. And one day we discovered that we both had collected quotes from people. And that conversation brought us to, well, wouldn't it be cool to, write a book of quotes? Well, Wendy is a big journaler, and so she said, well, I think it would be good to have a journal that people could actually interact with. So we went to some bookstores and we did some research in terms of what kind of journals were out there, and we saw that journals that used quotes, there were quite a few of those, but there were no journals that had quotes that also had probing questions that would help the journaler take the quote and relate it to their own life. So that's what we did. We chose 125 quotes. Some are from people who are famous but deceased. They're deceased because we didn't want to ask permission to use their words. And others are from people who are alive but who are in our lives, and so we got their permission. So there's 125 quotes, and they are on spirituality, career, relationships. And then each of the quotes has a page and a half of blank space plus 3 to 5 questions, probing questions that, like I said, would help the person reading the quote think, oh, I never thought about this quote in terms of my life. So it's a learning piece for people, and it's also a piece to help those who journal go a little bit deeper.
And you began your career as a psychoanalyst, I think.
Psychotherapist.
Oh, a
yes.
psychotherapist, excuse me. So did that help you in formulating the journal that people can use themselves to help
absolutely.
themselves?
Absolutely. And Wendy is a therapist as well, so yeah.
What are some of the most exciting and interesting places you've been to as a speaker and international consultant, and any experiences you had as a speaker that you want to share with us?
I've been all kinds of places. I've spoke all sorts of places. Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, all over the U.S. Exciting things that have happened to me. Not very many exciting things. In fact, with all the flying that I do, I have actually, and if there was wood around, I would knock on it, but I've never been on a flight with anyone who's been disruptive or any sort of drama, and that's good, I guess.
Unless you want to tie that into your writing.
Well,
that would be excellent to have that experience.
That's true. Actually, I was on a flight once where smoke was coming into the cabin, and that did give me pause. And I did actually think to myself, all right, what are you feeling? Because maybe you can use this in your writing. And fortunately, it was nothing. No, we didn't have to land or anything, but that's probably the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me.
We have to take a break. We'll be right back in just a minute. Welcome back, and we're talking today to Jerilyn Willin. I imagine there are some things in your life that you would like to change. Do you have any pet peeves?
Well, yes, I have pet peeves. One of the things that I do is I teach at DePaul. I teach a class for students who are working in internships. And one of my pet peeves I have discovered is that people can't spell. And that's true on the internet as well. I mean, you see on Facebook and chat rooms and things like that, people can't spell. And I never thought that was important to me, but it casts such a reputation ruiner. But no matter what you're saying, if it's spelled wrong, it takes away from what the message that you're trying to get across. So yes, that's one of my pet peeves, is when people don't spell things right.
Well, you seem to have a very full lifestyle. How do you relax? Or is writing relaxing for you?
Oh no, I watch TV to relax. Probably I watch TV way too much, but that's how I relax. My husband, my dog, and I, we actually bought a couch that was big enough. At the time, we had 2 big dogs. So we bought a couch that was big enough for all 4 of us. The 4th person or living creature that would arrive at the couch location would have to sit on the floor because the other 3 were up on the couch already. So we ended up buying a bigger couch. But that's how I relax, going to movies and reading, reading other people's work.
And as a consultant, do you have any advice for other writers or just for people seeking to get their priorities in line?
Well, I think that one way that I keep my priorities in line, and a workshop that I do, is on knowing what it is that you want to achieve by when, and writing it down and telling people about it so that they can help hold you accountable. Having someone hold you accountable increases the chance of you actually achieving what it is you want to achieve exponentially. If you keep your goals in your head or you keep them secret, then there's no one to say, hey, Louise, how you doing on your writing, or how are you doing on whatever it is? And that's what keeps people on the path.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Oh my God. Well, I have a picture in my bedroom it's a bedroom. It's a big bed with a dog sleeping on it, of course. And then there's a window, and out the window you can see, I don't know what the name of those plants are that grow on the beach, but they're kind of like wild grasses or something. So that's where I see myself, in a place that is near water and, working when I want to, hopefully speaking and writing still.
But not standing on the top of a cliff.
Oh, no. No. I don't need to have that experience.
Jerilyn, what can people expect from you in the future?
Well, I do have a work in progress. It's another nonfiction work. That seems to work better for me. And it is called More Than a Job, 26 Strategies for Success After College. And I came upon this idea based on the work that I do with college students. Most of the students that I work with are seniors. And so that is the first in a series. The second one will be More Than Your Job, 26 Strategies for your post-career life.
I think that would be very valuable for many, many college grads. And
yes, I hope so. And it's pretty fun writing it.
So how can people find your books?
Obviously, they can go to Amazon.com and look up the titles of the book, Deep, Deeper, Deeper Still, or Unless a Love Be Free. Or if you would like to receive an autographed copy, you can contact me directly at my website, and that is JerilynWillin.com.
Well, Jerilyn Willin, thank you very much.
Thank you.